It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out, it's trash day. I'm putting you out of my mind. It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. I'm putting you out, trash day. I'm putting you out of my mind. Now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up the house. Taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage.
And welcome back to another Can Crushers Wrestling Spotlight. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and this is going to be a juggernaut of a type of podcast, as my guest this week is the Juggernaut himself, John Rodin. I cannot wait to talk to him. I've seen John for a long time. He's about a 10-year vet in the business, and he's been all over Pennsylvania, up and down everywhere, more or less. And he's just, I want to wait until I talk to him to tell you who I think he reminds me of. You guys know how I do the comparisons all the time. But this guy is a beast in the ring, multi-time champion everywhere, anywhere he goes, and he's got a hell of a couple weeks in front of him. Again, we'll get into all of that during, I was going to say pay-per-view. Yeah, during the pay-per-view, during the podcast, we'll get into all of that. So sit back, relax, grab a beverage as you always do. I got my Maker's Mark in front of me. Right after you hear from Al Snow and Collar and Elbow, we'll be back with John Rodin, the Juggernaut. Guys, you know Al Snow's great wrestling apparel is called Collar and Elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, sweats, all that great stuff. I actually have my sweats and my hoodie on right now because it's a rainy, miserable day, and yeah, I'm just getting set for the winter to get going. I still need a pair of socks from Collar and Elbow. Nonetheless, guys, when you check out Collar and Elbow and you buy something or whatever you want to do there, use the promo code CANCRUSHERS. All one word, capital C in can, capital C in crushers, and you'll save yourself 10%. All right, here comes Al, and then when we come back, we got John on the phone, and we're going to talk all things wrestling.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crushers, guys. I told you in the pregame, I've already drank a lot of Maker's Mark already, so in the intro, Mark is what they're called on the podcast, that I'm super excited to have the Juggernaut on. 10-year veteran in the business, been all over the place, multi-time champion. John, welcome to Can Crushers. How the hell are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for coming or inviting me, and thanks for the introduction.
How much have you drank so far? Because that's
none yet. I got to go into work tonight, so
hopefully none.
Yeah, we'll be all right. You told me you were going to go into work, so.
Well, I thought I was, because it's storming like a son of a bitch. We're literally 45 minutes apart, and it's storming like a son of a bitch. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have to get called into work. There's going to be trees or something down. And I'm like, you know what? If I start drinking and I tell them, hey, I started drinking, they'll say, just stay home, coming in the morning. So I started drinking.
I know some guys that do that too. They just say I'm unfit for duty, so they can't come in.
No. Right. It works sometimes. Sometimes they really don't care. They really don't.
Yeah, that's true.
So a 10-year vet. You've been all over the place, and we're going to just jump right into from the beginning. When you were little, John, who introduced you to wrestling? Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle Joe, Aunt Susie?
The problem with me is I have horrible memory, so I don't know who introduced me.
This is going to be a great podcast then.
Yeah, I would guess it's my, I had an older brother who was 5 years older than me, so it was at the start of the Attitude Era. I'm going to guess like 97 or 98. and like I've said this before, but the first memory I had was Jeff Jarrett smashing a guitar over somebody's head. So that gives you a time reference of where we were at. I think it was 98 is a good guess, maybe 99.
Double J then, for sure. Yeah.
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 Yep.
Do you remember if he had the Road Dogg with him, or was it after the Road Dogg and he came back?
Nope. I just remember a chair or a guitar going over somebody's head. So.
And have you, I'm going to transition right into that, get the generic questions out of the way. For anybody that really doesn't know you, hasn't talked to you at all, have you been a Jarrett fan since?
I was never a big fan of Jeff Jarrett. And I think a lot of people have that thought too. He's got that heat.
Yeah.
I mean, if you study him, he's one hell of a wrestler, but he didn't really resonate with me.
It's until you get older in life. Like, I know you're a podcast guy. At one point, I follow you and I do everything. I know you were going to start a podcast. Did you? And I did not find it, or something like that. I know that was out there. But have you listened? My question is overall is, have you listened to Jeff Jarrett's podcast? Because he deep dives into everything. He's amazing. Like he has no ill will against anybody.
Oh no, I definitely listen. I listen to all different podcasts, and I got the equipment to start mine. It's sitting in my house, and I hear about it all the time from my wife over how much I have and haven't started yet. But life happens. Me jumping around to different shifts, wrestling starting and stopping, and then too, because of where you live. We live so far away from any type of professional wrestling.
Yep.
My shortest drive to a show is at least an hour, and that's just recently. Every time I've had a booking over the last 10 years, it was so it's really hard to get people, plus with COVID going on, and I am the least technology savvy person you've ever met in your life.
Nice. So let's start a podcast.
Yeah, so I need somebody like Sorg, Michael Sorg, or you to like teach me how to do this, because I try to figure it out, but I have no idea. I can't even log on to my email at work. I don't know anything about it.
Jesus.
I do like podcasts though. Yeah, well, I'm very old school.
We'll make this happen. Like I said, you're literally 45 minutes away from me, and that's if I'm driving really slow.
Yeah,
I can make my way down there without throwing it out where you're at. Yeah, we'll set this up afterwards. I'll clearly help you. I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't like Jeff Jarrett, and I didn't like him either right off the bat. And so who were your favorites? Because I'm getting ready for my big comparison, and I've thought this about you for a hell of a long time. And we'll get there. So tell me who your favorites are.
Well, ironically enough, my first favorite of all time, and you talk about people not liking him, was X-Pac.
Jesus.
And then you look back now, and he is one hell of a wrestler. But in that time, they coined the phrase X-Pac heat. So I don't know why the hell I liked him when I was like, 6 to 10 years old. But he was my guy. I thought he was cool as hell.
Can I ask Mom and Dad if you were a bastard back then? Because that's the only reason why anybody would like him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it obviously changed pretty quick, but I remember my first ever pick, because my brother liked Kane and I picked X-Pac. So maybe it was right around the time they were a tag team, and wow. I just went with the opposite. I don't know, but as bad as my memory is, I remember X-Pac was my first pick.
Wow. And it transitioned over time, right? Tell me at least somebody else, because I don't even want to write a write-up that what you says your favorite wrestler was X-Pac.
I mean, I've mentioned it a few times. It's got to be Kurt Angle and then Eddie Guerrero, and they go hand in hand. You can switch back and forth. But as far as guys that I've watched the most of, it's got to be those two. It's got to be Shawn Michaels. And recently, because I go in spurts where I watch certain guys for a little bit, I was on like a British Bulldog kick for a while, where I watched a lot of him in Japan. But Bret Hart's my guy recently. I really love Bret. And, when you're a kid, he doesn't resonate with you as well. When you become an actual worker and you saw what he could do in the ring and make the most out of everything that he did. Yeah. Bret's got to be, as far as in ring, he's got to be top 3.
He's made a lot of people a lot of money, and they've done nothing. he's done all the work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he could wrestle, a broomstick, like they like to say, and he's simply amazing. You watch back in that time, and we can dive down that rabbit hole eventually. But Brett was right about a lot of his thoughts on professional wrestling and trying to keep it as serious as possible, because he got a lot of people that were hating on him because he took himself and the business so serious. But then you kind of look where it's transitioning, and he was right.
I'll agree with you. If you're agreeing with Brett, I'm agreeing with both you and Brett. I think, and son of a bitches like us doing these podcasts are, and I'm saying us because you're one of them now too, when we get you going, we kind of break the whole kayfabe about it, but I think Brett was completely right that I think wrestling would be hugely different right now, even in 2020, if that kayfabe wall wasn't broken across the board.
Yeah, you're right. And it's one of those things, like, I like listening to Jim Cornette as much as people can't stand him, because I like a lot of his opinions on professional wrestling. I'm not going to say all of them, but guys like him, Jim Ross, all these old school guys, you kind of talk out both sides of your mouth whenever you say keeping kayfabe alive, and then they expose the business and the behind the scenes and everything that happened. So I think if you're a fan and you're actually listening to this, I think we're aware of where professional wrestling is and how, you know enough about it, of how it's done. But the goal, which I preach, or I try to preach to people, and if they can hear me now, people, if they know it's fake, that doesn't matter. It's our job to suspend disbelief in the time that they're there. They can all know that it's fake. I know Transformers isn't real.
What?
But when I go in and watch the movie, oh gosh, sorry.
You just ruined that for me. All right, right.
Oh, sorry. But when I go in, I suspend my disbelief for 2 hours, and it's their job to convince me. And then I get consumed by the characters, or pick any movie for that matter. And that's what professional wrestling should be. If people know, they got the idea. But I can't tell you how many times, and it's not patting myself on the back, but when you do your job right, you will have people that come up and question, "Are you okay? Oh my gosh, is your arm all right? That looks brutal." Blah blah. And they're the same people that a couple weeks ago, "Oh, I don't know, that's kind of fake. That's this, that's that." And I get friends that come and they go, "Are you all right, man? Oh my gosh, that looked rough." That should be the job. That's the goal in the end.
It is the goal. I'm glad you've had, because we've had a ton of different people come on and they're like, but you blatantly just said it. Just make sure, one, you're having fun, and just disbelief at wrestling. Yeah, it's 2021 now. Most of us know. Thank you for saying that, because I think some people are still scared to say that.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point in my career where me being older, and maybe if this is my last go at this, the last couple years, you need to call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. I see, and I maybe I'll get whatever heat for this, but I don't care about wrestling being funny and ha-ha and flips and being a stunt show. It's our job to be simulated combat in a short amount of time and suspend disbelief. That should be your number one goal. And I know there's guys that can do the comedy, and there's a spot for that, I'm sure, on every show. But for the majority, we should all be striving to suspend disbelief. Point blank, period. But that's my opinion on it.
No, we're on the same path, that I can stand a few flips here and there, and I am one that I can't watch Ricochet. He's the one that I will always say that he just makes me gag in my mouth. The comedy, you're right. There's been comedy in wrestling since both of us were born, John. There really has been. So I'm all right as long as the whole damn show isn't comic.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, there's certain guys that can pull it off right, and there's others that, like I said, you're killing the business. And I don't care if that bothers people. I'm at the point where I don't care anymore. But
right.
Because I know plenty of guys that did funny, and it's pretty great, but and it's the same thing of everybody wants to be Ricochet. You're not Ricochet, and even he at points, it became a thing with him and Osprey, how they did that long, convoluted,
yes,
duck this, duck that, backflip this, dodge that, reverse this. that's all well and fine, but it gets to the realm of it looks choreographed.
Exactly.
And
We say that every week.
I can't get with it. It loses me right away. They're amazing. They do stuff that I could never do. And you know what? They probably made a lot more money. So my opinion doesn't matter on that. But if you ask me, that's where you lose me. As soon as you get into the realm of it's getting too far. And like I said, wrestling's wrestling. If I got punched in the face once or twice, the fight may be over at any second. But there's certain things we can do to try and save it. And these guys want to post these long highlight reels of them dodging 45 moves in a row to end with an arm drag, or it's just not for me.
It's not. Yep, I agree. John, we're roughly the same age. I'm 44. You're where?
I'm 29.
You are not. Are you really?
Yeah. So
holy shit! I'm sorry. I thought you were in your, well, I guess 30s. I thought that's not even roughly same age yet. I definitely drank way too much.
No, you're absolutely fine because everybody thinks I'm older, and I carry myself like I'm older, and I'm a beat up old horse. So I've aged like a banana in the last few years.
Well, when we're gonna get to that, we're gonna get to that because you've had some injuries, you've had to kind of transform yourself. But what was your deciding factor to actually get into the business? You know, you and your brother were watching Kane and X-Pac, and then whatever, it took off from there. When did you say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to XYZ training and I'm doing this?
I think the decision was ultimately made when I was like 12 years old that I was going to at least try it. And the goal at that time was just to even have a match. I didn't care about making it to WWE. I didn't care about anything. It was just to say that I was a professional wrestler and I did it. But probably when I was 12, this story's been told too, but to a lot of people that haven't heard it, I met Bronco McBride when I moved up here to this neck of the woods where I'm at. Nobody liked wrestling, and I sat there at the table as a new kid and said, "Does anybody like wrestling?" He said it. "Does anybody like pro wrestling?" And I go, "I like wrestling." It was one of those situations, and then we clicked. Then we started the whole backyard wrestling. We were talking day and night, making fake championships, having these names, just standard backyarders. But we were obsessed. And I can't stress that enough to people, how obsessed I was with professional wrestling at that time. There was nothing else. And we were going to do it. So we went to IWC after debating about going to Georgia, which was a bad idea for a 17-year-old.
Wow.
who's never had a job or anything. So once reality hit, we went to IWC. We would drive down every weekend. Set up the ring, take the ring back, drive to my mom's an hour away, get up the next morning and drive an hour back to Pittsburgh, train. Our trainer was DJZ, Zima Ion, Joaquin Wilde.
Yep.
Yeah, from NXT. So he was just starting to blow up, and there was a few times where he didn't show up. He was living the party lifestyle, and while he was a hell of a trainer, there was a few moments, you drive down for nothing because he didn't show up, or we had somebody show up and they didn't have a key to get in, so we didn't end up training that day, or we drive down to flyer a show, and we're driving 2 hours to go flyer a show for half hour that we're not even on. And then like the amount of money that we were spending on borrowing rides and trying to make this happen all at 17, 18 years old. That's the sacrifice that it takes, and people don't understand how much you have to give to actually be successful in this business.
And say, I'll say DJZ that way, because I hate Joaquin Wilde. I love the man who that is. I just don't like the name Joaquin Wilde. I don't know why, because I know him as DJZ personally. Yeah.
Yeah, DJZ was cool.
Yeah. I lost my. There it is. Train of thought. Discouragement then sets in too when he's out living a party life, and you're from this neck of the woods driving down there 2.5, 3 hours. You have to say, fuck it, is this worth it? Because I keep getting screwed over from him. And we're not throwing shade on him, but you just have to get discouraged a little bit then, right?
Yeah, it happened a few times, or it'd be really frustrating. He was one hell of a trainer, but like I said, there was a few moments. I'm not going to say every time, but it stalled because he was busy and getting signed with Impact originally and traveling around. And I don't hold any resentment towards him, but at the time, at 17, and
Well, you had the ball. You had the world by the balls. Then you thought you're like, "What is this jackass doing to me?" And again, that's not you saying it; it's me. You wanted to get in the ring and say, "This is my time. Why are you doing that?" That's how I would feel.
Yeah, it's frustrating a few times with what you pay to train and then he doesn't show up, or but like I said, we learned from a lot of great guys. He was one hell of a trainer. It just took us a bit to get the ball rolling, and we weren't the best trainees. Like, my mindset wasn't what it was even a couple years ago. Um, like I said, it was all fresh. I was a kid. I wasn't grown up. I haven't matured, and I think that's what a lot of people need. Everybody's all gung ho and happy, but you need setbacks in your life. You need some heartbreak. You need to find out who you are. You need to be doing this for over 5 years, or you need to watch people that have been doing this a fraction of the time you have get opportunities, and then you test and see who you are. So you don't really know who you are as a person until you go through some hardship. At least that's my opinion.
That's great advice. I'm going to ask you more advice later, but that's amazing advice for the wrestling business. It really is, from a 10-year vet, because you've lived a life now of it. Are there any regrets thus far? Now I'm just bouncing all over the place, by the way, too. Are there any regrets?
Yeah, my biggest regret is, like I said, and I hate when people say, I don't regret anything. No, you can have regret. I wish I would have done something. Coulda, shoulda, wouldas. You don't let it consume you, but of course there's some things I would have done different. I wish I would have taken it as serious in 2010 as I did in 2017. I think if I would have had the mindset at 17 that I did at 25, that I probably would have at least been a lot more successful or making money, or I would have been in a different position than I am now. And that's what it is. That's the story. So let it be a warning to guys and girls. Don't wait 5-6 years to take this serious. If you're going to take the bumps, if you're going to sacrifice your time, money, and energy, you need to be in it 100%, or at least your mind needs to be on being the best you can be. Don't wait for me to give you a spot. Don't wait for a veteran to help you or get you this or get you that. You need to go make your opportunities.
The other side of the question now, do you feel that you've done it? Or I guess the 10-year vet, is there any more, without being, signed by WWE, AEW, NWA, blah, 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 all those ones, are you happy with what you've done, the product that you've put out there?
It depends what day you catch me on. So a lot of my friends that are close to me, there's a handful. They know my mindset on the business, my mindset on what I've done have changed. It changes back and forth almost daily. It depends how I feel. I'm proud of some of the matches that I've put out there. I'm proud of the fan base that I built in a small area. And even like Pittsburgh wrestling, it's underrated in some aspects, but it's not big. It's not booming. Like, people can talk about a lot of what's going on here, but I had my niche group. I had a loyal fan base. People drive sometimes I've had people drive 3 hours to come watch me have a match. So is that successful? It is in my eyes, as compared to some of my peers. If we're not going to make it as far as this level, that's pretty decent. And on the other hand, would I want to get signed to a major company? Of course I did.
Right.
Am I okay right now with not being signed while I'm sitting here talking to you? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like I said, the amount of sacrifice that it takes and the amount of that it takes on your body is astronomical. At least it was for me. And maybe that's my story, because there's some guys that are 10 years younger than me getting spots on AEW Dark. There's guys that they're overly successful in a short amount of time. Is that good? I mean, that's their story. So good for them. That wasn't me. And I wish it was, but would I have been ready for it? I don't know. So, like I said, these are the thoughts that go through my head all the time. I'm proud of the matches I've put out. I'm proud of what I've been able to do for a guy that nobody thought was going to be main eventing shows in Pittsburgh. I'm proud that if they bring in a big name or they bring in a solid worker, that my name could be on one of those lists as a competitor to take them on, because I'm going to give them a solid match and I'm going to be safe and we're going to make it look as good as possible. So to sum it all up, I'm happy with what I've done. Would I like more? Of course. Am I willing to take my mind back to where it needs to be to get there, at least where I think it should be? I don't know.
That brings us to essentially where injuries have set in with you, and then you had, no disrespect, you've had a major body transformation within the last, 2 years, I want to say, from when I've seen you a while ago to now. Is it because of injuries? It's because of mindset? And I'm not saying that you were... I'm big. I'm a garbage man. I'm fat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you would kick my ass. So I'm not saying you were fat, but I mean you have really bulked up and ripped yourself to shreds recently. Is that your mindset now, or is that because you had some injuries and you're like, shit, this is what I have to do because again I'm 29 and I'd like to live my life after this wrestling thing is gone?
Yeah. Like I said, that's one of the biggest things I struggle with. And I'm telling you now, in my normal life, I don't give a single, what anybody thinks about me.
You're being nice. Why?
Yeah.
You can swear all you want. I have.
Okay. I mean, I don't care. I don't care. I'm a prison guard. I've heard the worst comments in the world put at me, my family. There's nothing you can say that can affect me. And people don't believe that. It's true. I don't care. I got a job. I got a wife. I got my dogs. I got bills to pay. I plan on building a house in the next couple years. I got property built up. I got stuff. I got stuff on my plate. So I don't care what anybody thinks. But when it comes to professional wrestling, it's where your insecurities come out. So I went from being completely ripped and shredded, and like I said, I put weight on. You can't hide it. I still think I'm a hell of a worker as compared to some other guys. But the amount of sacrifice it took to get to that, where I was getting pretty shredded and making all these rounds, and people have no idea what it took out of my mind, out of my body. You post all this motivational stuff, and then on the inside, like I said, I was a robot. And people do it, so respect to them. I'm speaking for me. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you lift weights, you eat this certain food, you go to bed, and you repeat. And it was Groundhog's Day. Was I getting more successful? Yes. Where was my mind at? Was it in a better place? I don't think so. A part of me wishes I could tap back into that and become this robot machine where, that's all that consumes me. But, I got other people relying on me. I got a full-time job. If anybody knows me personally, I work crazy hours. I work a ton of overtime, and I'm trying to get it all together and wrap it up.
No, it's okay.
Like I said, yeah, I've lost my way a little bit. I still think I can go. I still think there's more left in the tank. But do I want to tap back into who I was in 2017? I debate about that every day. So time will tell. I think there's a healthy balance in between where I am and where I was, and I'm working on finding that. So that's my primary goal. It doesn't mean I don't have to answer to anybody. And as soon as you realize that, I don't do it in my real life. I shouldn't have to do it in professional wrestling. I've got people that care about me, that like my work, that respect my work. So I need to quit being my own worst critic. This is how I sum that up.
That is perfect, because I do that the same thing with this podcast, because there's times that I was doing an hour interview and then the editing process was 2 to 3 hours, and I have a set time that I'd like to get it out for the next day. and I'm up until the wee hours of the morning and then going to work. And my wife's like, why don't you just keep your podcast real? You're talking to wrestlers, so people understand you're talking to wrestlers. If the dog runs in the background, F it. The dog runs in the background. I was trying to take all that stuff out. This is, I'm not Jim Ross. I'm not Jericho. I am a little podcast that started my way, and I'm up to 5,000 listeners now. I get that monthly. That's pretty fucking amazing for a little guy in Ridgeway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my wife's like, you're doing something that people like you. So I completely agree with what you just said about your body of work, and I'm putting on like par with my body of work. I'm like, this is what we do. If you don't like it, cruise along. But I have people that are saying, this jackass is doing something right because I have listeners. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you at the start of this would never, you'd be flipping head over heels for 5,000 listeners, just like I would be.
Right?
17-year-old me would be losing his mind that I'm main eventing shows. Like, I was the guy that got his ass whooped in the first couple matches in 6 minutes for years. I was the guy who thought about quitting multiple times, who stepped away, and now I'm one of the respected guys in the locker room. At least they pretend they are to my face, and I believe I am respected, at least on this level, and that should be enough. Like, you should always strive for more. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're content where you're at and you got other things going on, I've got my little slice of the pie, and I should be happy with it.
Yep, I agree. So, again, I'm throwing the freaking runway, not the runway, Jesus, I love Calvin and Tyler. I'm throwing the rundown that I have out the window because it's for all over the place. So, with that being said, what are your goals now for, like, say, even the next 3 years? Because I hate going anything farther than that, because look how the fucking world changes daily.
Mm-hmm. And like I told you, like before, like my mind changes every day.
Yeah.
There's times where there's been a few times since this pandemic and even before it, I was going to walk away. And I said that with my last promo with VJ. I've tried to walk away. And I've told people, like, I think I'm done. I don't like the current product, at least a lot of it. There's amazing talent out there. They're way better than me. I'll say that first. But it doesn't resonate with me like it used to. And if it wasn't for some of my peers and my own stubborn pride of, like, wanting to do my thing, I would have walked away a long time ago. I love professional wrestling, so don't get me wrong. Don't twist my words like some people are probably going to do. I love it more than most of you, and I'll say that. But as far as the next 3 years, I debate back and forth. Should I do one more run? Like, what could I get done? I've seen some people, like I said, way younger than me getting opportunities. If John Rodin of 2018 and 19 was here, I'd probably be getting matches on Dark. I'd probably get matches on Elevation. I would probably, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's not the state where we're at. So my goal, I think I've said this before, I'm okay with not making it. I've come to terms with it. I want to leave behind good matches. I want guys that worked me to be like, damn, that was a good match, or they could show people and be proud of it. Because that's what it needs to be. I like when people watch my matches that they're impressed. They don't look for holes in it, or they can't even find them. Yep. They're like, damn, that was pretty good. When people come up, when I got people from this prison I work at come to shows and they go, oh, is your arm all right? Are you okay? Holy shit, that was crazy. Or they're losing their minds. Like, some people have lost their minds, or you hear the Rodin chants or Juggernaut. Hell, no retreat, no defeat. I didn't start that chant. Somebody out there decided to chant it, and it was just on my T-shirt. So, like, I take pride in that. That's cool. So maybe my goal is to be that guy. If I'm the vet that doesn't make it, but people go, man, why didn't he? You should be proud of that.
Jesus, I'm disagreeing with you all. Like, I'm a mark for you, and I am a mark for you. But I'm just saying that you're speaking the truth, and I love every minute of it. But doesn't it say something when you said you want to walk away? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you kind of just said something on this aspect that you were looking to walk away, but you have VJ saying, hey, man, one more time with you. Or, have somebody else coming in a different promotion saying, no, I want to work with you. isn't that a pat on the back, though, to say, yeah, man, I still got it, and I'm going to go balls deep into this one more time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's wrestling's a mistress, you know. You keep wanting to go back to her because you love her, and when you get matches like that or you get reactions, oh my gosh, it's adrenaline. It's the best drug in the world. I never delved deep. This is funny. There's a wrestling group with certain wrestlers in the area, and more than one been put out there of what's going on or some of the hardships that I face. And somebody said, your life is like Dark Side of the Ring, like the indie version, but without like drugs, you know. Like, I'm not into drugs or killing anybody, but it's like Dark Side of the Ring as far as setbacks and things I've run into. I mean, you can laugh at it; it's pretty funny, but
Yeah, it is. It is.
you have to humble yourself. Like, so what if I don't make it? Like, I've entertained hundreds of people, probably thousands. I've traveled all these different states. I've learned from some of the best in the world. Like, that's going to be a crazy story to tell your grandparent or your grandkids, you know. Who else can say that they chased their dream for over 10 years and faced these setbacks and still went after it? And you know what? Like, if everybody that wanted to be in the NFL and loved it and was so passionate got their dream, like, you know how many people would be there? Like, it's not based on how bad you want it. It's
Right.
based on who looks at you a certain day, how you perform, because it should be fueled on passion, but guess what? It's not. So tough titty. It's okay.
Wow, you might have been the first person to ever say tough titty on the podcast.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. Like I said, I've opened up a lot more than I normally do. This is usually for like Zach Rain and some of these other people where I start venting about the business, or like I said, I don't hate it. I love it, but you got to call it what it is.
Yeah. No, you're right. It takes physically, it takes a toll on you, but also mentally, it does, just because.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said to these young guys too, I like that you're passionate about it now. Where are you going to be in 5 years when you haven't gotten signed? Where are you going to be in 5 years when a guy that just started 6 months ago is getting a tryout with WWE? Where are you going to be whenever, you know, you busted your ass and traveled and pushed stuff? Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Some people get the role in Hollywood because they looked a certain way, or it doesn't matter about performance. It doesn't matter how long you've been trying to get it. And that's the business you're in. So you're going to get a reality check, and I judge character based on that. How do you handle hardship? How do you keep coming back whenever you keep getting stepped over, denied? You know, can you still keep that work ethic up for years and years? Not everybody can do it. I've struggled with it. I still struggle every day. It's not a question. But like I said, it's real easy to be positive when things are going good for you and you keep getting opportunities. So all you can control is what you do. Put your work ethic in. If things happen, great. Be prepared for them not to.
Okay.
So like I said, we're sacrificing our bodies too, and that's the thing on professional wrestling. The amount that we get paid is minuscule. It's like a traveling band. You go to bars, you travel, you put your time in, you might get enough to get home. Some people might make money at this, but how long are you willing to do it? How long are you willing to not secure yourself a job with retirement insurance to go do this? Hell, and it's no knock to them, because congrats. There's people that have never had a full-time job that are 17, 18, 21 years old, still living with their parents. Hell yeah, it'd be easy to make all these towns. Hell yeah, it'd be easy to stay after the show and socialize and build up those contacts and, you know, spend that time in the gym and do things like that. If you have that opportunity, you better take advantage of it, because a lot of us haven't. I've spent my life raising kids that weren't mine, you know, with girlfriends, moving around, losing my jobs. Well, you know, I didn't lose my job, but starting over, you know,
Right.
like I faced hardship after hardship after hardship. Boo-hoo. If you got more than me, take advantage of it. And like I said, I'm going to get on a tirade. I'm on my pedestal here.
It's all right. Wave your flag.
Yeah. And whatever, they can call me sour, bitter, whatever. I'm a realist. I'm happy with what I've done. I'd like more, but it's up to me to go get it. And you young guys, wrestling is starting to boom again as far as you can get by with not being the greatest athlete. You can get by if you are an athlete. You don't even have to be a good promo. You can just be a flippy guy and get an opportunity. So there's something for everyone out there. So go take your piece of the pie and screw everybody else. What do I know? There's guys that have done this less and gotten way more. So congrats to them.
One thing I want to bring up, you were saying this, that, or the other. Sometimes it's just your name that gets you in the door and gets you a multi-million-dollar contract because you're Joe Blow's nephew's son's daughter.
Yeah, more credit to you. That's fine. I can't blame you. I would do it too.
I would do it too. Yeah, I would do it too.
Yeah, it is what it is. And like I said, there's guys now that, damn, they're impressive, and they had the mindset at 20. So I'm like, all right, this should be exciting. You're gonna have
Yeah.
But wrestling's one of those things too. There's no guarantees. Like the thought has always come to my head because I was like, what if I do get signed? Let's, especially when I was doing tryouts all the time. Let's say I get to Florida and I make it to WWE and I move my family that I was with down there, and I twist my knee after 3 months, and I just blow it out, or I get an injury.
And you're
Then
done.
what?
You're done the rest of your life.
Yeah, he's not taking care of you.
Nope.
There's no workman's comp deal, like whatever. They could just drop you.
I hope you like being a greeter at Walmart.
Yeah, like these guys that got their education and still do it. I mean, look at Britt Baker, became a dentist while she was still wrestling, and
yeah,
always have a plan. You can put all your eggs in the wrestling basket. That's fine, but at any moment it could end. So the older I get, the more I realize. But maybe you need to be naive when you're young. Maybe that's how you make it. Like I said, there's people that have been homeless. I've had my fair share of it as far as losing everything and starting over. And I can't directly blame wrestling, but it was a big catalyst in my life for a lot of the decisions I made. Yeah, we could talk about this all day. I don't want to discourage people.
No,
Go be the best professional wrestler you can, everybody. Everybody that's listening, if there's any guys out there, I'm rooting for you. I hope you make it. I hope everybody makes money. And be safe and freaking take care of your opponents. Quit dropping each other on their heads. Your highlight video is not cool. You look disrespectful. I don't know. I don't know why people like it. Like, you look unsafe when you're dropping guys on their heads. It's not cool.
Yeah. All right, let's spin this back around. Let's spin this back around.
I told you there's multiple versions of me. It depends what you get.
Yeah, I like this version though. I do. I hope I get to meet all of them, especially if I help you set up your podcast.
Yeah, that's why I love
Crazy
to talk
John.
about this.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up Bronco McBride, and you guys kind of broke into the business together, and you guys are on again, off again. You guys are the blue collar slaughterhouse. Your most memorable matches, am I wrong, are with Bronco?
Yeah, as far as my most well-renowned matches are probably with Bronco, because we killed each other for a couple months, and throughout the years we've had sporadic matches where I think we've worked best together. A lot of people, including myself, praise me and Rev, Ron Hunt.
Yep.
I had a couple of my best matches with him, and there's some random ones in there. There's some gems, but yeah, probably Bronco overall is my most known feud or best matches.
You've also shared the locker room with many in that 10 years, superstars from all over the world. Mm-hmm. Is there one that's given you advice that really resonated with you? Have it be Billy Gunn or whoever?
Yeah, that's hard because I've done so many seminars.
I know. I'm telling you, I deep dove into your life in the last 3 days.
Yeah, I've done a ton of seminars and learned so much. But probably, and it sounds weird, but my best advice and such were probably from guys like Super Hentai, Marshall Gambino, guys that I see all the time as far as local shows. And I've been doing this over 10 years now, and I still go back to the locker room and ask Hentai how my match was. You know, hey, what do you think? Would you like this? And I let him humble me. And that's what, I can't tell you how many guys don't come up to me and ask me to watch their I mean, I've had a few, trust me. But you should be getting guys to watch your stuff. You should be getting them to pick holes in it and dissect it, because they may see something that you don't. And that's why I go to Hentai and guys like Marshall. Maybe they'll see something that I don't. And like I said, there's not one key set of advice that I've gotten. It all kind of blended together. I think the overall thing is kind of like what I said earlier. This is my advice, at least from everything that I've learned. I like people to make it look as real as possible without killing each other. That should be the goal. Suspend my disbelief. And I say that a lot, but that's what I like. That's what people that I invite to the shows like. I've gotten probably over 100 people to come just to watch me wrestle. And that's what they like. They don't like to see holes in the game. They don't like to see the funny ha-ha. They may laugh here and there, but the best feeling in the world is when you can get somebody that's not a fan to absolutely get into it, or get them to come back, or they say, man, that wasn't my thing, but holy shit, that last couple matches were awesome.
Yep.
So I challenge people to try that. Try and make your game look as crisp and real as possible without killing your opponent. We're not making a lot of money. Guys don't have great insurance. The guys that do, nobody wants to get hurt. So, I mean, some might, these hardcore guys and crap like that, but I want it to look as real as possible without hurting my opponent. That should be everybody's goal.
Great transition as you brought up hardcore. This is where it's time for me to tell you who I think you are after you tell me who John Rodin is, because I have 3 people in mind that I've thought of you since day one of seeing you. And I'm like, okay, this is who it is. But who is John Rodin? Who is the Juggernaut? So people know.
And this is the question that gets answered, or it gets asked all the time, because in the seminars that I've done.
Don't say you times 11, because I fucking hate that answer, by the way. I hate it. Yes, we know that. That's wrestling in general. It's you times 11. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, you have 5-minute tryout matches, and they go, well, who are you? Tell a story of who you are. How the hell can I explain who I am in 5 minutes? You know? I mean, I can tell the story of a match and combat and trying to beat this guy, but how am I going to tell you who I am? Because it gets summed up over months. It gets summed up over my social media and people seeing who I am. To not dance around it, I mean, the Juggernaut, it is me. It's an open, honest guy who struggles with his problems, but I have this mindset that I can't be killed. I keep coming back. You will not break me. No retreat, no defeat. It's pretty much a dude who's been broken, who keeps coming back. And I will keep smashing myself against a brick wall because I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. And I mean, that's me in real life. I've been kicked in the balls more times than I can count, but somehow the world hasn't killed me yet. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. And that's why I have such a strong fan base in a small area, because people know that it's the real me. And it's not my character times 10. It's just me. I'm open and honest. People know my struggles. I don't sugarcoat things, especially now that I'm towards the tail end of things. I'm not going to hide how I feel. But at least even when I was going full tilt, I would go anywhere. I would fly anywhere. I would travel 11 hours for a 7 to 10 minute match. And I've done it plenty of times with no money guarantees and no nothing. It's the unstoppable person. And I can't tell my story of being unstoppable if I didn't tell everything that tried to stop me. So that's kind of what my social media was there for a while. And I've weaned off of it because I don't want to be a negative person, but people know that I struggle, and people know that I keep coming back and I fight, and I love this business, and I'm going to give everything I have when I'm out there. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. It doesn't matter how my life's been affecting me. I have gone through some of the worst shit. And then that weekend I am in the ring trying to give everything I can. I hope that sums it up.
No, it does. It really does.
Like I said, I can't say a plumber. I can't say I'm this guy from the '90s. I'm a '90s throwback. No, that's not what it is. So when I do these tryouts, well, who are you? And then I ask the question, who the hell was Seth Rollins?
Yep.
Explain what his character is.
Right.
He's a cocky. What, like, sum it up for me in 5 minutes. If you put on 5 minutes worth of Seth Rollins, am I going to be able to tell you that's the architect? That's the this. That's the no. So it's frustrating when they pull that crap, but it is what it is. It's the course of the story. You can't cover it all in 5 minutes, but I've sprinkled it out throughout the years, and I think people have an understanding of who I am.
My 3 people comparison.
I can guess one.
Who?
I'll guess.
Go ahead.
Actually 2.
Go ahead. All right. Go ahead.
I'm gonna guess one is probably Samoa Joe.
Nope.
Kevin Owens.
Nope.
Then you got me. I'm excited. Go ahead.
Tommy Dreamer.
Okay.
Rhino.
Uh-huh.
And Road Warrior Animal.
Okay.
Tommy Dreamer, because of the struggles of everything he's gone through in ECW, so that's where my mind went with you. Rhino, because you look like him and you're kind of harder core like him. And then the whole Road Warrior Animal, the body slams and stuff like that has always taken me to Road Warrior Animal.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can see it.
Yeah. So I'm pretty good. Nice.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm actually surprised. Like I said, I've gotten Samoa Joe, I've gotten Kevin Owens a few times, and
I could see Owens. Yeah. I don't get Samoa Joe with you though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my style doesn't revolve around me brutalizing people. It's usually me getting my ass kicked and then fighting from underneath.
Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, the everyman, the heart of the people, the heart and soul type deal. So I get that Tommy Dreamer one for sure.
Nice. Yeah. I'm getting better at this after 3 years. So hopefully I'll be able to pass it on to you. All right, let's take a minute away from wrestling because we have some shit to promote here too for you in the next 2 weeks. What else do you like to do? I know wife and family and all this and work your ass off, but when you get a minute of downtime, what is your nerd out stuff? What do you just like, all right, I have no work, no wrestling, let's go for a walk in the woods, or what do you like doing?
Yeah, I'll transition that back to the last few years. I didn't really have a life. I came home, I lifted weights, I ran, I ate good, and I went to bed. And I did that for a while. Like, that mindset was all that I had. Now that I'm settling down a bit and getting my life built together and trying to build this future, I've done a lot more of hanging out with people. I've got more friends now than I ever did when I was going hard. And when I was going hard, you get a lot of fake friends that, man, I was pretty popular as far as people wanting to talk to me when I was riding high and traveling every weekend and starting to get a little buzz for this area. And then right before COVID, when I started to struggle with my issues as far as life, you watch people start dipping off
fast. Trust
you find
me.
out who your friends are.
Real fast.
Yeah. So the ones that stayed loyal to me, guys like Zach Rain, guys like Andrew DiNardo, who's a local fan.
The sign guy.
Yeah, he is the Pittsburgh sign guy. He became one of my best friends. I mean, he is my best friend. That
you
dude
just went
was
to
there
a pirate
for me.
game together, didn't you? Recently.
Say again?
Didn't you guys just go to a pirate game together recently?
Oh, hell, we've been to a couple Pirates games.
Yeah.
He comes up, we have fires. And I don't care what people say. That dude's my best friend. So if you want to say I'm a whatever for friends with a fan, well, I mean, we bonded through wrestling, but that dude was there for me when everybody else started jumping ship. And it was a lot easier to not be friends with me than it was. So guys like him, Zach Rain, I owe them more than I'm going to be able to cover talking about. See, I'm an emotional baby, so I get pretty sentimental when people are loyal, and they help me out a lot whenever people aren't willing to. So to sum it back to what I've been doing, I got a lot more friends now. So there's been a lot of fires. I've been playing beach volleyball every week.
Wow.
I got my... Yeah, I mean...
Look at you, beach volleyball star.
Yeah, I'm pretty agile for being a big guy. But it's just stuff that I never got to do before because wrestling consumed my life. So I wasn't going out and socializing. I wasn't going out and having friends. And I've said this before. I would do a show and I don't get to stay after and have drinks with everybody. I don't get to go to the bar and hang out. I got to get home because I got to get up at 4:00 in the morning to go to work.
It sucks having responsibilities, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I live 3 hours away from a lot of these shows, so there was no time for that. And maybe that halted a lot of my progress, but that's what I had to do. So now that COVID's come, now that I've slowed down personally, and I won't be doing shows where I'm driving 4 hours to do a 7-minute match. I'm not going to damage my body for that anymore. So it is what it is. I hope guys are willing to do it because I think that's what you have to do some of the time. I'm not that person anymore. I'm going to prioritize my personal life before wrestling. And that's the first time I've done that in a long time. But so be it. But to sum it all up again, been hanging out with a lot of friends, been making time for myself. As far as what I do, I'm a nerd, but I don't consume it anymore. I'm usually going to the gym. I'll watch my little YouTube videos. I'll watch wrestling. I watch a lot of old school wrestling now because, and like I said, I don't want to slam the current product. It doesn't resonate with me like the old stuff does. So I'll be watching things that you probably won't catch me watching anything after 2002. Everything is going to be pre-2002 as far as wrestling.
I thought you were going to say like mid to late 80s. A lot of like NWA stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was just given a few years grace period, but
right.
A lot of the stuff I watch now is late 80s and early 90s, like All Japan and New Japan, which it's a crazy style too. It's revolutionary for its time. There's a lot of strikes. There's some stuff I don't like. I think fighting spirit nowadays is gotten out of hand as far as guys doing it and this no selling stuff. And
yep.
Like I said, there's a time and place for it. I think it's getting out of hand. But the stuff I usually watch is pre, 2002. Even then, I don't watch much from then. But there's good stuff, and people need to watch from the past because there's guys now, which blows my mind. There's guys born in like 2001 that have never seen any of that. They weren't around and it's kind of aging myself, that you got guys that have never watched Stone Cold because guess what? They were like pissing their pants when he was just wrapping up.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to go back. You got to watch the old stuff. I mean, the business has changed, so you can't consume yourself with it. And as much as people say we need to get to the old school, it's not like that anymore.
No.
You can't do it. Times have changed. It really has. You wrestle an old school match like they did in 1980s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. You can't keep people's attention like you used to. It's so easy to pull up your phone and look away the second you get bored. It's so easy to change the channel. So maybe that's why the style is like it is, because you need car crash TV. And I'm not willing to do that. And I vowed myself I'm not doing that. Like I said, I'll sacrifice myself from time to time, but you won't see me doing a moonsault from the top to the outside. It's not going to happen.
No.
If I can't keep your attention elsewhere, doing other stuff like my style, then it's time to go. But my styles work so far. Social
media has brought that us being gnats in our life because everything is literally right there. Hey, I'm I'm not going to throw a promotion out there, but you're at an XYZ event and I don't like what's going on. I can pull up the network. I can pull up IWTV and find out what the hell's on. I can watch something there real quick while you guys have your 10-minute pause matches, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, social media is killed a lot. So I agree with that.
Yep. I mean, that's today's day and age, though, too. It's not just wrestling. So
no, shit, I'll do it with a baseball game.
Go to a baseball game, go to a concert. People are filming this freaking that drives me nuts, too.
I know.
You want to take some pictures, take a picture. But are you really going to go back and watch 3 minutes of this set from like 5 years ago? No.
No.
Live in the moment, enjoy it, watch what you're seeing and register it, Like, damn, these people hold their phones up the whole time, or they're like on their phones, like live in the moment.
And
You pay money to
are you
Good.
making memories then, or are you just recording a memory so you can watch it later that you really didn't do anything from that?
Yeah, and you're not going to watch it later. You know how much I used to film a few things here and there. It's like, you know what? It sits on your phone until you delete it to make space or something.
Yep.
Live in the moment, be with your people, and it's not just wrestling, like I said. But
No.
that's a sign of today's day and age. It is so easy. The second you're bored or the second your attention's faded, to pull up your phone. So, relating it to wrestling, we need to do everything we can to keep their attention. We need to be like, holy shit, there's a fight going on in that ring, and I can't look away. Is it through 800 dodges, ducks, dips, dives, and dodges?
I got
No.
the reference.
Thank
reference. One of the
Hopefully
greatest
others
movies
get
out
this.
there, by the way.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. So is it? I mean, that works for people. Obviously, there's people that are signed that do that, and I'm sitting at home. So
Yeah.
do what you got to do. I mean, figure out what works for you. I'm not going to sell my soul or break whatever I believe to do that. And I'm not saying that people should stop flipping and flying and doing that to do my style. I like what I like, and that's how I'm going to carry the business.
Right. All right. One more question before we do the promotion for the next 2 weeks, and then do your social media and sell merch and just give all your shit away. I always like asking this, even though you keep saying you're on your downhill, and all that happy horse shit. You could have your dream match, and it's my dream match scenario is anybody that's ever wrestled, so dead, alive, or future. Who do you want it to be against? Where do you want it to be, and what stipulation?
Ooh. Huh. I would say I'm gonna have to go with Eddie Guerrero. This is me in my prime too.
Right.
So my peak conditioning and all that. Because I know if I took on Kurt, he'd probably blow me up way quicker. I think Eddie would be somebody that could really work with you, and you could tell that story too. Probably Eddie Guerrero. As much as people say it, you always want to go to WrestleMania and have a match there.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna go with like Eddie Guerrero WrestleMania somewhere.
Okay.
It's cliche. It's not some big convoluted thing, but yeah, Eddie Guerrero would be the dream opponent.
MSG Arena, MSG at Madison Square Garden.
MSG WrestleMania 20, belt on the line. I put him in the ankle lock and he slips out and rolls me up.
I wrote Eddie when you mentioned Eddie in like the favorites and everything. Once you said that, I wrote that by the dream match. I knew you were going to say Eddie. You gave some love to Kurt, but you gave a lot of love to Eddie. So I'm like, I already knew right from then and there.
Yeah.
So, all right, this coming weekend, you are at RWA. You are taking on O'Shea Edwards. So this is a big task. This is a huge task coming this Saturday. What do we got coming for him? I know we just kind of spilled everything, kayfabe, there's the air quotes and all that, but what can we expect at RWA this weekend?
I mean, I think O'Shea will be surprised. And like I said, I don't want people to sell me out. I don't want people to think I hate professional wrestling. I absolutely love it when I'm in there, when I'm doing what I do. And when I show up, I think that's been a call to my name. I show up, I do my job, I work absolutely as hard as I possibly can. There's no drama, there's no politics. I do my job and I get out of there. I think he's going to be surprised. We'll see. I haven't been in RWA in over a year. I think he'll be surprised at the amount of support that I have in that crowd. He's a big name, he's a star, or he's becoming a star. And I'm not lying when I say this. A lot of people have actually come to me and said they were wanting to see this match. And that was before it ever got announced. I've had people say that, man, you know who's really good? O'Shea Edwards, blah, blah. I could see you guys going against each other because he's wrestled in Altoona and stuff and around the area.
Right.
So I've been asked a few times to wrestle him, and it's actually happening. I think he's going to be surprised at my ability. And I'm one of those guys that haven't made it. I've teased on the door of getting an opportunity, so I think he's going to be surprised at how well I can hang with him. And I think other people are too. I don't want to be sold short. I don't think I will in RWA. I think people know what I'm capable of on any given night. So this is actually really exciting. Yeah, I haven't been excited about a match like this in a long time. So I got to come with everything I got. And like I said, after all this time off, we're going to pull some tricks up our sleeve.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. At least you have something up your sleeve. Nice. In your singlet, right? So
Yeah,
there's no sleeves.
It's loaded.
Okay, all right. And then next weekend, where you've been recently, 2PW, you and VJ have had this little spitting match going back and forth, and they're not fans of me, so I'm not fans of them, and you have the White Rabbit as your tag team partner, so you're going to beat the snot out of Swole Patrol, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, there's no hopefully. Those guys, while talented, I've forgotten more about professional wrestling than they'll ever learn. And that's the truth. Same with Zach Rain. We've got enough time in this business, and I'm not undermining how good they are. Like, on any given day, I could be beaten. But VJ learned at the last show. Like, I've got tricks up my sleeve. You may be faster, stronger, bigger.
Balder.
Yeah, balder, whatever. But guess what? I'm really good at suffering. I'm really good at taking punishment and keep getting back up. Yeah, you're not the biggest I've faced. You're not the baddest, and you're gonna find out. And that's the thing. I said that in the last promo. You can face your friends till the end of time. You can face all these guys that got 2-3 years experience, and you may think you're good. And you may actually be good against them. When you wrestle me, when you wrestle guys with over 10 years experience, you find out if you're a professional wrestler or not. Like, I will drag you into deep water. I've said that too. Because we can find out what you're made of. It's real easy to be cocky. It's real easy to flex and show off when you're facing guys on the same level as you. So this is VJ's opportunity. This is Vic Braun's opportunity to step up and show what they can do. And I hope they do. I really hope they do, because there's nothing I like more than having a great match. So they're probably listening to this. Bring everything you got, and we're going to show you up.
Yeah, and you're going to beat their asses. Swole Patrol.
That's the plan.
All right, John, we've kept you a little bit longer than I have, but we have a great conversation, and we're going to continue this after I hang up. Tell everybody where to follow you, and do you have any merch on sale? What do you got, and all that happy horse shit? Because you're actually one of the good people on social media that you know that's part of your job as a professional wrestler as well.
Yeah, I used to really push social media really hard. I've weaned off it a little bit, but for the most part, like, I've been known, I'll talk to anybody. I'll make time for you. I'll react. I'll say something. I'll answer questions. I'm not one of these guys that pushes my merch too hard. If you want to buy a t-shirt, I appreciate it. I've seen it more than enough where tons of people have had my shirt in the crowd, and that means the world to me. But the fact that people come out, they spend their hard-earned money to come watch me. If you chant, if you come up and tell me how much you like my match, or you didn't like it, I appreciate it all. There's no pressure. Follow me on social media, John Rodin. Instagram, I think it's Juggernaut Rodin. I've been slow on that. But the biggest thing you can do to support is just come out and watch professional wrestling. Come support these guys. Let them know what you like. Let them know what you don't like. And you got to support independent wrestling, because that's going to be the future. That's where they're going to get all these talent from. I don't care if they're looking for athletes from football or rugby. It's going to be the indies. It's going to be guys that are willing to take the bumps for years and years for little to no money. That's what's going to keep professional wrestling alive. I don't care what WWE says or anything else.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, because those people that are ex-football players, rugby players or something, they're going to use this for a one-off here or there, and then if they do make their name, they're off. They're somewhere else. They're not going to stay in one company.
Yeah, and I mean, they might find talent out of that. I mean, they've probably gotten a lot of major stars from sports and all that, but you're going to find the guys that stay in the trenches with you, the guys that are actually, hold on. you find out what people are made of. And professional wrestling is very, very hard. That schedule with WWE, AEW, being away from your family is so hard. And the best people you're going to find are people that were doing that before they made any money. At least that's my opinion. And there's rare cases where I'm proved wrong. But go support the indies. Find these guys before they are stars. And I can't tell you how many guys are coming out of this area that are actually making it now.
A ton.
Yeah.
And the women, too. I know you meant guys in general, like the whole group of the wrestling fraternity around here. But yeah, it has been there's been a spike in our area, which is amazing because they deserve it.
Yeah, they do. And like, there are good talent. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want anybody to take this away that like, I hate wrestling. There's good guys out there. There's talented guys out there, and they're younger than me, and they're blowing me away with the amount of progress they've made in a short amount of time. Now's your chance to see them. Now's your chance to see them before they blow up. And I compare it to college football. At least like when these guys weren't making any money at all, they wanted it. There's a little extra pep in their step.
Yep.
Because they want to get to that next level. So you're going to see things that you don't see. You're going to get the interaction that you won't get when there's a TV camera there. So it's a lot more uptight and personal. And like I said, go give it a try. Find a good indie show. I've invited a lot of people that have never watched wrestling, cared for it, to indie shows, and then they walk away as fans. And that's one of the best feelings in the world. So if you're a fan, like I said, you're probably a fan if you're listening to this. Get somebody to go with you. Start spreading the good word.
So yeah, there's indie wrestling all over the country, guys. Go out and watch it. John, thank you for stopping by tonight. And well, it's tomorrow morning by the time people are listening to this, but nonetheless, thanks for stopping by, and we'll connect.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Juggernaut, John Rodin. That is probably one of the best interviews I've ever had on Can Crushers podcast. This is the real life of professional wrestling. A 10-year vet coming out and telling you the ups, the downs of professional wrestling. He loves wrestling. We spoke for a while after the podcast was over. Pat myself on the back. I'm going to go help him set up his podcast when he's ready. But this is what wrestling is about. This is somebody that has put his life on the line for me, for you, for everybody else listening to this podcast. Yeah, he was right there. Shit hit the fan sometimes, and he fell down. He picked himself back up. Razor Ramon said it best. It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. This is John Rodin. If it's getting back up to take care of his family, his life, and settling everything else that he has to in life, that's what really matters. This is a professional wrestling podcast, yes, but this is the good and bad of professional wrestling, and he's not hating on it, and I'm not hating on it, but you don't hear a lot of people open up like John just did. So I thank you. I thank you for listening to this podcast. John, I thank you for coming on, opening up your heart, your mind, and everything, and telling everybody all about the business of your ups and downs. Now go out and support fucking indie wrestling. Head to RWA this Saturday. Head to 2PW next Saturday. A couple weeks, IWC is going to be around. Imagine's going to be in Altoona again. Guys, there's enough wrestling within our area. And I'm saying in our area because John's right down the corner from me, literally 45 minutes away. Probably one of the closest wrestlers I've ever interviewed via a phone call. But that's just the way it is. Up in our neck of the woods, we don't get it, so we have to drive. John had to drive. That's what they do. So you have to support indie wrestling. And John made a great point. A lot of these stars hanging in the studio right now that I have autographed pictures of. And he brought up Britt. I have Britt Baker signed before she was anything. And I don't mean it, Britt, if you're listening. Ray Lynn, Calvin, Tyler, Big Time Bill Collier, Wardlow. All of these guys were there. Look where they are now. John was there. Some things happened. He's building back up. He said he's on the end of his career. He knows it. Listen to him. If you're talent, ask him, John, what do you think? He's somebody you can have in your corner, which is going to be amazing. Guys, you know I love you. Thank you for supporting Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast for the last 3 years. We keep going, we keep going, we keep going. Don't forget to call in to the phone number 1-814-299-6687. And, give us a hot take. Tell me what you thought about this interview. Tell me what you thought about the Manny Fernandez interview. Anything. You can also email us, cancrusher69@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of it's at cancrusher69. We're easy to find. All of it links to our website as well. Guys, again, thank you for supporting us. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Fitting today, isn't it?